Hello, everybody. It's Stephen and Walter here for another episode of So Chatty. This is episode number 153 for August the 23rd, 2024. Hope everybody's been having a good week. Uh, yeah, we've had one. Okay. So, what have I been working on? Let's take a look very quickly. These are just little previews. I'll talk about what you're about to see in much more detail because there's always a story to be told about these things. And let's hit this. So this is Pumpkin Patch, and it's designed by, or the pattern is by Stephanie of Stephanie Stitches. And I did it in gnome fabric, and it's now, you've seen it at the top before, it is now completely quilted. And if you look at it really closely, you can see I did it in spider webs with spiders. I think it turned out pretty good. I had some problems. They are not obvious problems, but I will talk about those problems on Tuesday. Just to let you know, Lucy and I had words with each other. And those of you that might be new to my channel and don't know who Lucy is the name of my APQS long arm. But we'll talk about those little fun things on Tuesdays, next Tuesday's Idiot Quilter. And this I just finished this morning. This is a table runner. As you can see, it's called the Christmas Bouquet. B-O-K-E-H. I don't know how you say that word. Bouquet.
Bucket.
Bucket. I don't think it's bucket. Mrs. Bucket. Miss Bucket. But anyways, nevertheless, it is an in the hoop embroidery designed by, I think it was Designs by Juju. It's kind of abstract. I like it. There is a little bit of a problem with this too. Not an obvious problem. Even Walter couldn't find it. But I will reveal that problem as I always do.
I see it now.
Yeah, well, don't be pointing it out at the moment. I'm saving that for Tuesday. So look at it quickly. Do you see the problem? No, good. We're moving on. And that's not where I want to move on to yet. We'll come to that. So let's go back here. And what's Walter been working on? Well, you've seen this already. I premiered it on Stephen and Walter Live. It's my new shirt that Walter made. These are butterflies that are on it. It's got his signature invisible pocket, as you can see as well. And I look absolutely gorgeous in it. Brings the blue out in my eyes. And have you started another shirt?
Yeah, I did, but I haven't gotten very far on it, so I decided not to show it yet.
Okay, so stay tuned. Sometime within the next 5 years, you will see that shirt as well. Okay, so that's all our little show and shares right at the moment. Announcements. So I'm with Stephanie and Stephen. Wednesday starts at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Come all day, part of the day, 3 minutes, whatever grabs you. Bring your own project to work on. Have a good time. And the link for it is always in the show notes below. It's a Zoom link. All are welcome. Pop-up Sew Day. Well, it seems like it was only just last Saturday when we had one. Well, it was last Saturday when we had one. But I'm going to have another one, not this Saturday, but the next Saturday. So Saturday, August the 31st, which is Labor Day weekend for most of us in North America, I believe. I think it's the same for Americans as it is for us. So you may have plans for the Labor Day weekend, but I don't. So I'm having a pop-up sew day on that particular day. And again, you will find the link not today, but you will find it next week, starting on my vlog on Monday, in the Idiot Quilter on Tuesday, and in So Chatty next Friday. And also, I'll probably have it in Stephen and Walter Live this Sunday as well. So lots of opportunities to click into it. And if you're on my mailing list, you will get a personalized email in your email box with the link in it this coming Monday for that. So think about what you want to work on and come and enjoy the day. Okay. Let's do, you notice in the title I put I eat my words. I have a mantra, I guess you might say, which is you can't quilt on an embroidery machine. How many times have you heard me? Anybody who's a regular here, you have heard me say that many, many times. And I'm still standing by it, but I have some qualifications with some information I just learned from a couple of the subscribers to YouTube. You know, the biggest problem I've had with saying that you can't quilt on an embroidery machine is because of the size and the heft of the quilt. And depending on how big your hoops are, well, even if you have huge hoops on your embroidery machine, there is still so much more involved in quilting on a quilt in an embroidery machine than there is on a domestic machine or, of course, on a long arm. But manufacturers have been telling people, oh, you can do this, because they're trying to sell their embroidery machines as a substitute to a bigger machine like a long arm. Because let's face it, long arms are big, they're expensive, they take up a lot of space, and that kind of thing.
And yeah, and part of that, what you're saying, is because you've actually tried it.
Yes, several times.
Yeah.
And you've heard me also say if you're going to do a table runner or even something maybe up to the size of a baby quilt, you can probably do it. It also depends on what it is you're trying to do. Are you trying to do a quilt in a block? And so you've got like 9 blocks in your quilt. Are you trying to do a motif in each block? You're not interested in doing a continuous edge-to-edge design because it's easier to do them one block at a time than to try to do a continuous design.
I mean, even if you do one block at a time, from my knowledge, is that you still have to put the entire quilt underneath your embroidery
Yes.
machine, and it's got to shove that fabric back and forth.
The thing is, it's a lot of trouble, to say the least, and are you willing to sacrifice your time and effort to do this when there are other methods available out there? It's up to the individual. But 2 individuals have shown me what they have done. Nancy, and many of you will know who Nancy is. Nancy is on our sew days on Wednesdays, and she does a lot of in the hoop embroidery projects. In fact, she's my enabler. She finds a new pattern, says to me, "Did you see this?" No. And I have to have it. So Nancy costs me some money. But she showed me a quilt she did some time ago on her machine. She has a brother, I think it's either a Solaris or an Innova. No, an Innova is not a brother machine, is it?
No, well, they have one called Innovus or something like that, but there's also a quilting brand that is that.
Yeah, that's called that as well, which has nothing to do with brother.
Yeah.
Anyways, for the sake of argument, I think it's a Solaris. Anyways, it is an embroidery machine. It's a fairly high-end embroidery machine. She showed me a quilt. I don't have a picture of it, that she did some time ago. It was a fairly large quilt. I think she said it would probably be, it's a single, like a single bed quilt or whatever. I'm never sure if you call a single bed quilt a full-size quilt or not.
It's called a twin.
Or twin, it might be a twin. Whatever, it's a good-sized quilt. It's much bigger than a baby quilt, okay? And she did it. And she did an edge-to-edge design. Here's why she was successful. On her machine, it has a projector. And what it does is, whatever design you put into your embroidery machine, it will project an image of that down onto your embroidery surface. So right on your fabric, or in the case of a quilt, on your quilt. And then, with the little controls that you have on the machine, you can move your needle around to the exact spot where you want the design to start. And then when it's over and you unhoop the quilt, rehoop it for your next section, you can get the projector, you can line it up so you know exactly where your new start point is going to be. Well, not all embroidery machines have this. Mine certainly does not. And I could see how that, okay, get away, never put your thumbs up on here. I can see how that might allow you to quilt a quilt, because you've got this very elaborate system for lining things up. I didn't. When I tried it on my machine, I had to depend on guide plates that drop into your hoop and all kinds of other techniques. I had to mark the quilt for where I could set up the hoop and things like that. That takes a long time. But I did ask Nancy how long that took her. And she went, well, it took over 2 days. And she says, I'm not doing it again. There's the thing. She did it. She says it was heavy. It was difficult to maneuver, as we've already said before. And she figures her time is more valuable than to put it into this kind of thing. She sends her quilts off to a long armor and long arms by check with that. Okay, the second person, Elaine sent me some pictures of a couple of quilts she had done some time ago. And this is the first picture. Get the right buttons. I moved my buttons around. There we go. This one looks like a Halloween quilt. It looks pretty good. The quilting she did in it, hard to see in this picture, but it all looks like, for all intents and purposes, I don't think you could really tell unless you examined it really up close with a magnifying glass that this was done on an embroidery machine and not on a long arm. So I asked her what kind of machine she has, and I asked her what kind of problems. I asked her several questions, actually, and she wrote back to me and said, it's stitched out. She has a Janome MC 11,000. She said she did this some time ago, and she calls it my old Janome MC 11,000. I don't know if she still has that machine or not. It sounds like she does not. That was the forerunner to the machine I had, which was an MC 15,000. This is 11,000. Did I say 1,100? I meant 11,000.
11,000, yeah.
It's the forerunner to that machine. She said it stitched out fairly quickly, but I found the setup to be painful. Ron, that's her husband, feels otherwise. I think the Halloween quilt did it in about 4 hours. Haven't used this method for a couple years now. More setup time than stitching time, and I use cotton threads. Lining up the start points did not give me the results I would like, although it wasn't bad. A couple of times the foot hit the edge of the hoop, and we did have a couple of hoop pop-ups. Oh God, now I want to try it again. You know, distance makes the heart grow fonder. You kind of forget. I think it's what I've heard, like women who have multiple children, you know, they complain about the pain of birth giving, but several years later go back and have another one. They kind of forget about the pain. So this is not, it doesn't look like, I'm not sure how big that quilt is.
It looks like it's a good size.
Yeah. But she said it took her, now she said she did it in about 4 hours. So that's pretty fast. If it's as big.
And her husband supposedly helped her hoop.
Yeah. She sent me an addendum to this. She said, also, Ron reminded me that the larger the piece, the more hands we needed to keep it level so that the hoop stayed stable. Yeah, because she said she had pop-ups, and that's another problem. And if your quilt pops out of your hoop, you got to try and realign the hoop up as close as you can get. And she said, if she's really kind of implied in here that she did not get it perfectly aligned, but it was close enough for her. So, you know, depends on
probably
what you put up with.
Quilting, you probably don't notice that it's not a complete continuous line until.
Yeah. Now, this is another one that she did in the hoop, too, and you can't see it, but she's done several. I'm not sure about this one, because that looks like she's got it attached to her long arm. Nice quilt job, but I'm not sure about this picture, why this was included, because that looks like it's attached to a long arm.
Yeah.
Not to an embroidery hoop, but either way. So, what's my conclusion about this? If you have a lot of patience, if you are a skilled machine embroiderer, if you can't, for some reason, do it any other way, because maybe you have problems with your hands, you know, arthritis or something, so on a domestic machine, or maybe you have a domestic machine that has a small throat, whatever, and if you don't have a long arm, then you could give this a go. But beware. It's going to take you a long time. You're going to have a lot of frustration. And I don't think it's worth the frustration. At least when I did it and experienced it, it was not worth it. There was more cursing.
Oh, believe me, there was cursing.
Oh, there was a lot of cursing.
Not only that, you also started running into some major problems with your machine as well.
Because when you've got something that heavy in a hoop on a machine, it's going to put strain on the mechanisms that pull your hoop around. And it is very easy. And Elaine said her needle hit the hoop several times. And if your needle hits the hoop, I mean, it sounds like she was lucky. I had it hit my hoop once, and pierced the hoop. The top hoop went right through. And it
And the
threw,
reason it pierces the hoop is that it probably would not have done it in a regular embroidery thing, but it's probably because the size or the weight of your
yeah,
quilt is pushing the hoop into a
into,
spot where it's not supposed to be.
yeah. So I still stand by what I said. I don't think I'm qualifying my opinion now. Yeah, some people have been able to do it. But the stories I'm hearing now is after the fact, the ones that you hear say, oh, I've done it before and it's fine. I want to know what problems you had because I do not believe you did it without any problems. And I want to thank Nancy and Elaine for being really honest with me about the process.
Also, the size of the quilt matters. Like if you're doing a small quilt,
Size matters.
then it might be a lot easier to do. Or you're doing like a table runner or something like that, you can do it in that. But when you're doing a really large quilt, I could see you running into a lot of problems. And if anything, you might even damage your machine trying to do it.
Yeah.
Now, I did see an advertisement for, I think it was a Brother multi-needle embroidery machine,
Yeah.
right? You know, a big industrial one. And what they said, oh, you could use this for quilting as well. And they showed, because the industrial machines are big and the hoops are central, you could hang your quilt over the sides of it, right? And mind you, I don't know how that would work rolling up against the machine.
Yeah, I know.
But they were trying to tote it as being able to do it. But I think even that might have a problem with it. But it showed it like that both sides of the quilt could hang over the edges.
So basically, you know my feelings about it. If you decide you want to try it, I'd be more than interested to see the result of your final product. And I'm not talking about on a baby quilt. I want to see it on a big quilt, like a queen size, okay? Because I think that's really where the true test comes in. And I'd love to hear about your trials and errors with it too. Because I think a lot of people are getting sucked in by the big manufacturers like Janome and Bernina, who are toting that you can quilt a quilt on their machines. And I've yet to see them put out a video showing how to exactly do that. And I don't mean one that has a 12 by 12 inch quilt sandwich.
Yeah, show your customers that you can actually do a full size, like at least a double size or queen size bed quilt on a embroidery machine.
Yeah. I mean, I could play devil's advocate and call up Shirley at Ultimate Sewing and say, Shirley, I think you should run a class on how to quilt on your embroidery machine. And I know the answer I would get. Not in 1,000 years. No. And I certainly wouldn't blame her for that. But she's a very honest dealer, and I'm pretty sure Shirley doesn't try to sell people embroidery machines on the idea that, oh yeah, you can use it like a long arm. No, she's not that kind of person. But there are other dealers out there that aren't as honest or simply don't know. They just go by whatever Janome tells them or whoever their machine is. Okay, so we thought we would just discuss that. Now, today, main thing is we're going to show you how to clean and oil your serger. Now, of course, we're doing it on a very specific serger, the one I had, the Janome 2000D air thread machine. So it may vary on the type of serger you have, but essentially the principles are the same. However, we have never done it before. Surprise, surprise, surprise. This is the first time we have ever done a major cleaning and oiling of a serger. So we got out the manual, and your manual will be a great help to you, and followed the manual. You will hear sarcastic comments, mostly from me. You will hear frustration, mostly in Walter's voice. But we did it, and it can be done. Is it fun? Not particularly. Is it time?
It's cleaning any machine.
Yeah, fun. But it's definitely not like cleaning your domestic machine. It's a little bit more involved. Now, I'm sure because this was our first time, if we do it a second time, we'll be better at it, unless we forget how to do it. We'll be like quicker and better at it. But we did a video. The video is pretty much all done in real time. It took us 30 minutes for this, and you will see all of our trials and errors with the whole thing. So you might want to get a coffee right now and pause the video, come back and see our first ever effort at deep cleaning and oiling a serger. Hello, everybody. And you might wonder why Walter is on his knees in front of my serger. Yes, he is praying to the serger shrine, praying that we can get this and do this right. What are we going to attempt to do? We're going to attempt to do a very thorough cleaning of my serger. Now, I have never done this to the extent that they show in the book. So that's what we're going to do today. There could be death. Either I kill Walter or Walter kills me or we kill the serger.
Yeah, well, I've never done this either, so this may be a learning experience.
And the reason we're doing it like this is so you can see what it's like to really clean your serger out for the first time. Now, of course, depending on your brand of serger, the instructions might be slightly different, but most sergers are the same thing. And we have the Janome 2000D air threader, and I am using the manual that came with it. And on page 52 of the manual, it takes you through step by step with diagrams on how to do this. So, how hard can this be? We'll soon find out. So, first things first, take a look. Let's see how much dirt there is here. In the catch basin down here, there's not lots, but there is some little stuff. So that's easy to clean up right off the bat, especially if you have one of these handy dandy little vacuums. So Walter's now going to suck the crap out of this little tray. And I guess I should have instructed him on how to use the vacuum cleaner. Now, it says the first thing you do is open the looper cover. So that means you have to take off the catch tray, put that to the side, and now open the looper cover. There we go. Now let's take a little inspection in here. There is some crap. I'm pushing Walter out of the way. See down there? That's crap. All right? I will come to that crap in a moment. In fact, I think we should do this now, because it doesn't really talk about that. You're using a little vacuum, suck out the crap. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is just clean out the area around the cutting knife. And the cutting knife is this part, focus camera, this little part right here off to the side. See it right there? And so Walter's going to get in there with his brush right now and brush off any lint. Now there isn't really too much in there at all, but he's brushing it away. Now they do recommend you do not use canned air on this. They say you can use compressed air because it's drier. You don't want to push too much of this stuff back in, so that's why I was using a little vacuum cleaner. But if you don't have a little vacuum cleaner, you can use your brushes or your cosmetic brush or whatever to get the little pieces off. And while you're there, Walter, you might as well do what you already were doing. Brush down the exposed areas, the parts that you can see. Now, they do recommend that you go along the shafts of anything too, like down there where the lower looper shoots out its thread, right along here, because lint can form on that, and you don't want that.
Yeah, a little bit came out.
Yeah. And so now I would take the vacuum and suck up anything that's in there that we knocked down in there. And yep, that's looking pretty good. Okay, so that was the first part. And it did say you may use a vacuum cleaner to clean the upper knife area or feed dog. So we did. And I recommend you get yourself one of these little vacuum cleaners, which I reviewed some time ago on my spot. You can get them on Amazon. They come in all shapes, sizes, and forms. Or you might have a small set of attachments for your standard vacuum cleaner. You can use those too. Okay, the next part says cleaning the feed dogs. And they say position the chaining finger lower than the surface of the needle plate by pulling the cleaning finger switch knob toward you to R. Now, what they're talking about is over here. There's a little attachment, little Let's see if get it in here in the shot. Where is it? Oops, awkward. See the R and the S? That's switch. This means rolled hem. When you want to do a rolled hem, you put it to the R. When you want to do standard stitching, you put it to the S. So they want you to put it to the rolled hem feature there. And then they're saying, open the looper cover and the side cover. Okay, we've got the looper cover open. So now we want to do open the side cover. And it just pulls open. So you see all the internal guts in here. And let's take a quick look and see if there's anything in there. There is some dust and things. And before we go on, I think we should do a little brushing in around there.
Not very dirty.
Well, it shouldn't be because I don't use it that much. But for the sake of the demo, we're just showing, brushing around. Now there is some of the stuff down at the bottom I see. So we might use our vacuum cleaner at this point to suck that out. And okay.
There's stuff inside.
Stuff, still finding stuff? Okay, there's stuff down in the little nooks and crannies in there too. So you got to do a visual to see all of this. This is not like cleaning a domestic sewing machine. There's many more little nooks and crannies where you can get junk into it. So I would suggest at this point, use the vacuum cleaner to get what you can get. Okay, and then I would suggest we use the air compressor. Now this is the air compressor that I own. I bought it from Amazon. It has several settings, and I use this all the time on all of my machines, and it works really well. And the difference between it and canned air is it's not moist air. What are you playing with? And okay, so hold the trigger in until it starts. And if you push the trigger in again, you'll get more force. And if you put it in one more time, now to turn it off, you just squeeze in the trigger. Okay. Now, one thing we forgot to do was unthread the machine, which at this point, that's not really a big deal, but it will be for the next stage of this. So, in order to unthread the machine, we showed everybody how to unthread the machine. Close up the covers.
Do I put the rolled hem thing back?
No, you can leave the rolled hem. It's not going to make any difference. You have to shut the door because there's a safety feature. It won't run with the door not shut. Now, you'll need scissors to cut the threads at the top. Okay, and then you just push down on the foot pedal and pull everything out. And there we go. It's unthreaded. Now, the one thing you don't want to do is pull your threads backwards out of it, because that's going to, your thread, serger thread tends to be very linty, and it's just going to undo everything you've already cleaned. It's going to get things caught in spots where you don't want it caught. So yes.
You also don't want to yank the threads out, forcefully out.
No.
Rather than running the machine and pulling it out, because in this particular machine, thread can get caught into the tubes that feed the loopers.
And we're going to talk about how to clean the tubes that feed the loopers in a moment as well. So that is all done. And we've blown out the dust. We've sucked up stuff under there in the whole bit. But the next thing is the feed dogs. So what we have to do is we have to remove this plate that's on here, and we have to take this off. That comes off by, it's just a clip. It works the way it does on most sewing machines. Put your foot up, push the little button at the back.
Okay.
And take the foot off.
I've never taken the foot off.
There you go. Now the next thing you have to do is, it says you should take the needles out. Taking the needles out is a bit of a process. You have two little screws here that you don't want to take these screws completely out of the machine. You loosen them, slide the thread down, or the needle down. But before you do that, you should take a piece of fabric. And where's that scrap piece of fabric that I was using? Yeah. Here, use this. And put this underneath the plate. This way, if a needle slips out of your fingers, it won't drop down inside the machine. And you want to distinguish between your left needle and your right needle. So Walter's taking off the left needle right now. You just loosen it. Is that going to loosen it? That's the screwdriver that came with the serger. I don't think I've ever had the needles out of this machine. So, there. Okay, now, we want to distinguish. Okay, put the needle down. You want to remember that this is our right needle.
That's our left needle.
Or that's our left needle. Put it on the left side of that container. Sorry if I've been moving the camera around. I'm trying to do two things at once here. Okay, that's just put it down, put it down. Okay. Can't get good help. All right, needles are out, machine's unthreaded. We're going to remove the foot plate. There is a screw here, and I don't think there's
no screw there.
No, it just slides. So take your screwdriver.
Bigger screwdriver.
Yeah. And you don't want to lose your nuts or your screws. There's a joke in there. Okay. You might have to raise is the foot up all the way?
Okay, I am. Look, having trouble doing this.
Okay, I think because you went off on an angle. See, there you go. There you go. See, this is why we want to show you this. This is our first time doing this. So inspect the plate. Make sure everything looks okay on it. Give it a little blow. All right. There's the screw for it. We'll keep those all together. All right. So what the instructions said now is using the lint brush to remove any lint from around the feed dog. So you just brush them through. And what we're talking about is those little grooves in between the rough parts.
Probably could use the blower.
Give it a little blow job. You have to hold it in for 3 seconds. Okay, so we have cleaned the feed dogs. Now we have to reattach the needle plate. And it says by inserting the rib under the edge of the rear cover and aligning the hole in the needle plate with the pin. Tighten the set screw with the screwdriver. It should just slide right in that spot. There it goes.
Okay, that's not right.
Is they're not sitting on the feed bags correctly.
I think it would help if I did
Oh,
that.
that might.
Yeah, I think that's proper. Oh, no, here.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a little groove. There's a little tab on the back that has to slide into the.
And that's kind of what it said. Inserting the rib under the edge of the rear cover is the way they put it. And then it says to attach the needles and the presser foot. So we got to put the needles in, or I think I would put the needles in first. That's the order it says. It says attach the needle and the presser foot. It also has both of these covers open.
Oh, okay.
Because we don't have the power turned off. And if you don't have these open, it's a safeguard. Now, is there a right way and a wrong way to put the needle in? Is it like on a sewing machine?
Yes, the needles are standard sewing machine. They have a flat part on it.
Okay, so the flat part goes at the back or at the front, doesn't it?
At the back. On your sewing machine,
Yeah.
it goes on the back.
Okay, I always forget. Do you want to use the little item that holds your needle while you slip it in? That's not the little item. The little item I'm talking about is...
I don't use that thing.
Oh, well, never mind. There is a thing you can get. It's for threading your needle on your sewing machine, but it also will hold your needle for replacing it in the sewing machine. Walter's doing it the hard way.
Yeah, well.
Because it also keeps it in the right position. Why don't I give you that little tool?
No, hang on.
Okay. He gets so stubborn. Trust me, there's an easier way.
Oh, if I'm in the right hole. No.
That's what she said.
I think so. I'm not sure if it's the right hole or not.
Well, we have to make sure it's the right hole.
Where's Yeah, I'm in the right hole.
Okay. So the bottom screw is for the right-hand needle. The
Right.
top screw is for the left-hand needle. And you want to make them tight, but you don't want them so tight that a good firm finger tightness, just like you would do on your sewing machine. And it is very hard to line this
Are
up.
you using Serger needles for this?
I have never changed the needles, and that's what was in the machine when I bought it.
Okay.
I'm assuming they are Serger needles. Why would you ask that question? It's fiddly. Okay, make sure those are tight. And
Yeah, they're tight.
Okay. So the needles are in. Now we have to put the foot plate or the foot back on. And it's just like your sewing machine. It just goes down. You line it up with the little bottom bracket. And then you drop your presser foot down on top of it. And it should click into that little mechanism right there. And did it click into the mechanism?
I don't think it did.
No, you missed. Are you in?
There
we go. You click. You should hear a click. All right.
Where does this thing go on the front? Or
What thing?
where does the spring go?
Right
Okay.
where it is. How could
Okay.
it go anywhere else?
All right.
It only lines up one way. Okay. Next says cleaning the looper threader pipe. Now it says using the looper threading wire. They supply you with one. And if you remember the video we did last week, actually supply you with two. We use that to kind of clean out the lint that was blocking the hole. Well, we're going to do kind of the same thing and kind of not. It says what you should do is you take a piece of thread, about 60, I think they said 60 centimeters length of size 60 thread, and pass it halfway, 30 centimeters, through the loop of the looper, threading the wire so that both ends meet as illustrated. So basically what you're doing is you're shoving it down the hole.
Okay. But first you have to put it into threading position.
Yes. So threading position,
You have to click this over.
click that button.
Right, and then this one over if you're doing the lower looper.
Lower looper.
But then
and
you have to put the...
So they lock in.
Right.
Okay. This may slightly vary from your machine. This is because this is an air threader and it needs to get all the tubes in the right spot. Now, if you don't have an air threader, you don't have tubes.
No.
Okay.
So your cleaning is a little bit less intense.
Yes.
So now I have to shove the
wire.
The wire through the loopers.
And it should come out. This is the lower looper we're going through at the moment. So the lower looper. And did it come through yet? This is the lower looper here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we should see it pop its little...
There it is.
There it is. There,
right there.
Okay, just... See it hanging out? Right there, yeah. That's it there. Now, it says that we should put a piece of thread, 60 weight, onto the end of this and pull the whole thing through, and that cleans it out. But they also say in the instructions, you can also use a compressed air duster or camera dust board to clean the looper threader pipe. Now, I don't think we're going to have any problems with this. I'm not going to bother searching for 60 weight thread. I just have readily available 50 weight. You can probably use 50 weight too. But one thing they did say is only use the thread. You pass it through several times to clean it out. But when you go to the next looper over here, use a new piece of thread. Theory being is you've caught a lot of lint already and you don't want to reinvest it or reinfest it with it. But we can also use our compressor. So if Walter pulls out his wire,
right,
sounds a little dirty, and give it a blow. You hold it in, the trigger. Oh yeah. You can feel the air coming out through the hole. And we're going to do the same thing to the upper looping. Okay. So I would say if you have one of these little air compressor guns that when you're cleaning your machine, if you've been cleaning on a regular basis, you probably only need to do that with it. But if you want to be really, really sure, then do what they tell you in the book using the thread. Okay, so and now that's it, except now for oiling. And what oiling it says to do is oiling the machine, again in your book, it says apply a few drops of fine quality sewing machine oil to the parts indicated with arrows. Drip a few drops of oil into the hole at the top cover. This is that the hole?
Yeah.
Oh, what's that hole?
Oh, wait a minute. It says there?
Yeah.
No, it says there. Yeah, okay. No, it's
that hole.
Yeah.
Here you go. Now, this is an oiler. It's like a pen, so you unscrew it. No.
I can't remember how to use this thing.
You saw it here, people. Okay. Now, hold... Just... Would you like me to show you how to use it?
I know.
Okay. So this delivers 1 drop of oil at a time. And how many did they say? A few drops. So you don't want to over oil because it could run down into other parts of your machine and could make a mess. You might want to get near the hole. Okay, I don't. Yep, good shot.
Mm.
You got a half a drop in.
Well, I can't see.
Give it to me.
Yeah, okay, well, you do it. Gimme, gimme, gimme. The pen drips kind of slow.
It's meant to do that.
Yeah, well, I have one that doesn't drip that slow.
Okay, don't bother putting your cap on yet. You're not done. Okay. Open the looper cover and apply oil to the moving parts of the upper looper and the lower looper. So we've got that opened, and it's showing here on the diagram to put them at the joints. So the upper looper goes underneath, so there's a block right there. Just a couple of drops on that block.
Okay.
Okay, and then there's one at the bottom. That.
Okay.
Because those are parts that move up and down.
Okay.
Okay. Turn the hand wheel. It says open the side cover and apply oil to moving parts of the upper knife. So this is the side cover right here. And the moving parts of the knife is under this block right here. And kind of weird, this diagram. It's supposed to be a hole right on the inside. Oh, it looks like it's on the other side of...
Oh, the knife is there.
Okay, we can drop... It didn't say anything about dropping the knife, but we can drop the knife.
No, there's no hole.
No. I meant in here. There's a bar. Okay, they're showing the bar straight up and down. So that's...
I think it's this bar here.
Yeah, it is that bar. But they're showing on the diagram.
I have to get my head in that way.
Where's your head at?
It's in here somewhere.
Yeah.
I think I got something there.
Okay. And then it wants you to put some on the wheel right in here. And down at the bottom wheel. So all the wheel parts.
I would think that it goes.
It's basically, I think, what they're showing is where the wheels are attached to the little bar. Like just in the inside of the joint.
I don't think there yet any oil. Oh, there we go. There. Okay.
Okay, did you get them all?
Yeah.
So that you get those ones up there too.
Well, those ones there.
Here, in here.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, there is a caution, says never inject oil into the holes for the looper threader. Never the upper looper tip or the lower looper tip. So, in other words, they're talking about the holes that are here where we thread it, and they're talking about the tips. Never put oil there or there. Okay, that, I think, is all we have to worry about for oiling the machine. So, we want to get the oil running in this, so we're going to close everything up, put that back to the run position.
Yeah, but we don't have any thread in there.
Well, we'll have to thread it, won't we?
Well, so I suppose we could just run the machine without the thread in it.
Well, that's what I was going to do, but you seem to think that wasn't a good idea. I don't know. That just gets everything lubricated up. Now, one thing they didn't talk about in the book, but I think would be a good idea to do, especially when your machine is unthreaded, is to take your air compressor and blow through the channels of your tension discs.
Yeah.
So blow.
So,
Now, why are you doing that?
opens them up a bit.
Oh, okay. So Walter put them down to in around 0 to open them up wider so it can blow. But do remember to set them back to whatever tension you
3
have.
is usually what
3's the default mode in most of these. Okay, so that's cleaning the machine. Now, when should you do it? Well, they talk about doing this. Let's see if I can find it in the book. Yeah. Clean the looper threader pipe once, so that's with 10 hours or so. Okay, I did see on one thing, somebody said it all depends on how often you use your serger. If you use your serger every day, you'll need to clean it at least thoroughly once a week probably, and oil it as well. But like me, I use it so infrequently. Well, I've had this serger for...
Well, 10 hours is a long time, 10 hours
Yeah.
of usage of it. So it would be quite a while. You probably won't have to do it very frequently, maybe once a year in some cases.
Yeah.
So
If you use it infrequently, you probably don't have to clean it that regularly or oil it. I mean, I would clean out after every time that you've done a lot of, you've used the knife, I would definitely just take my little vacuum and clean out the dust that's visible in there and maybe give it a little light brush down as well. As far as the oiling in that is concerned, if it's starting to sound rough, it's get to know your sound of your machine. If it doesn't sound like it's running very smoothly, I would give it a more thorough cleaning and a more thorough oiling as well. Now, one thing we need to do is, I don't think we put my needle back up or my blade back up, did we? Or did we?
no,
Oh yeah, I guess we did.
it's up now.
Okay. So that's how you do it. And as I said, yes, we did struggle with this. It's because it's the first time we did it. But now that we've done it once, we kind of have we know about it. Save your manual. It will help you through with all of it. Is it hard? It's not really hard, but it's tedious. So you're not going to be cleaning your machine in, well, you've had real time here. This has been running for 30 minutes. That's how long it took us to do this the first time. Might be a little less the second time. Okay, I hope that was clear for you with that. But again, always check your manual. Okay, so that ends our series on sergers and cover stitch machines. Oh yeah, we didn't show you how to clean a cover stitch, but basically I assume it's almost
about the same.
because they're not much of a difference between
Well,
the
there's
two
no
machines. There's no blade.
Well, on my cover stitch machine, there's no upper looper. I don't know. They have fancier cover stitch machines. I don't know if they have upper loopers or not or whatever. On mine it doesn't have it. So
now the company, the online site called Sewing Doc Academy, they are developing a course on cleaning, maintaining, and oiling your sergers. And I will sign up for that when that becomes available. It looks like right now that's not going to be available until the beginning of next year. So I will sign up for that, and I'm hoping to learn some more from them. If you don't know who this is, and if you've ever been interested in doing a deep cleaning and oiling and doing minor repairs to your sewing machine, I highly recommend Sewing Doc Academy, all one word, .com, I believe. It's a paid course, but it's done at your own speed. It's all virtual done. It's not live audience. And you have the course for life. And you also have a really great support system there too if you're running into problems. So it's worth checking out, especially when they have a sale. And I think they've got an open house coming up. Might even be coming up this week. Tail end of this. Well, this is the tail end of this week. This is Friday. Or maybe it's next week or something. And they oftentimes reduce by a considerable amount the cost of the course. Even if you paid full price for the course, it's not that bad. I think the full price for it is around $300. It's called Remove Your Covers. It is worth the money. It really is. It's very good. So anyways, that's that. Now, what are we going to do next in a series? Well, you've asked for us to go back to the embroidery machine and show you freestanding lace. We have shown you examples of things we've done in freestanding lace, which include anything from a two-dimensional object that is completely done with thread. There isn't any fabric in it or anything like that. Or right up to three-dimensional objects like gingerbread houses or Christmas decorations or things like that that you can stick a tea light in or whatever. We've done quite a few of them over the last few years. So we're going to develop a series and hopefully start it next week where we'll take you through the different aspects of freestanding lace embroidery. And once you try freestanding lace, it's just going to open up a whole new world for you because there's so many things you can do and so many ways you can use what you make for like gifts and things like that. So it's fascinating. So that's what's coming up next. Comments from the past week. Well, we had one comment from Valerie that said, a serger with differential feed may have helped your layers to feed more evenly. This is in response to the quilt I made on the serger. Differential feed works kind of like a walking foot. I didn't even think about that. I forgot all about the differential feed. And I'm going to be right up front about this. I don't understand the differential feed.
And I think yours machine does have that.
It does. It's on the side of the machine. It's a dial. I mean, if I look in my manual, it'll tell me what it does. But I think she's right. That does act more like a walking foot. So it feeds your fabric through more evenly, your top, when you're using layers of things. So like a quilt. Didn't even think of it. Never entered my head. And another thing that didn't enter my head is what Carol said. She said, I have an old Bernina serger that I use only for serging the raw edges of fabric before I pre-wash. I feel using the serger for that purpose saves wear and tear on my expensive sewing machine. I use a fairly long stitch length and just 3-thread overlock to save thread. The following is not a criticism, which is based on what she just said about her thread. It's a serious question because I have little serger experience. Why did you use such a short stitch length? Is that the length recommended by the pattern? I never even thought about it. That's what my machine was defaulted at. That's what I used. There's a couple of things that would have helped with. One, when I was putting on the binding at the corners, it would have created less bulk, which would have allowed me to bring my binding over to the top of the quilt with more fabric to get at for the corners when I'm trying to miter them. Thought never entered my head. Didn't even think about it. Also, I didn't need to have the stitches that close when I was doing the piecing. I mean, those are pretty solid seams. If I had made them a little wider, little longer, it was still held together. It would have still done what it's supposed to do. I would have used, as Carol says, less thread, for one thing. And it might have had a better time. It might have been easier to line up the pieces. There you go, thumb again. It might have been easier to keep the pieces in line, the intersection points, because, you know, if you saw that video, you saw how out of whack my intersection points were on it all. So, didn't even think about it. Didn't dawn on me. And, you know, I watched several videos about using a serger, and not one of them mentioned the differential, nor changing the stitch length. So, you know, there you go. Sometimes people leave out important information. Am I going to try it again? No. Didn't enjoy it. Not doing it. But thank you, Carol and Valerie, for those comments. Okay. If you have any ideas for series that we can do, put them in the show notes below or send me an email, and we'll consider your idea. Not making any guarantees. We can pick up on everybody's idea, but as I've said before, you give us ideas, and although we may not be able to do specifically what you want, it may give us other ideas that are related to it. So it's always helpful. Okay, anything you want to say?
Nope.
All right. So hope you enjoyed today's So Chatty, and we'll see you next week for probably FSL, free standing lace. Okay, say goodbye, Walter.
Goodbye.